Hi, I'm Richard Mobbs and this is Math tutorial number 6 to support the Open University course TU100. The topic is scientific notation. All of my resources can be found on the following website. The story so far. In these series of tutorials, we have looked at significant numbers, significant figures, decimal places, and powers of 10. And we've seen how powers of 10 can be used to represent large and small numbers. As technologists, we have to be comfortable in dealing with calculations using both large and small numbers and to represent our answers appropriately. So let's think about how we would deal with large and small numbers. What sort of large numbers do we deal with? Well, we deal in terms of gigabytes and all these sorts of things, terabytes in terms of disk storage. So we've got to be comfortable with large numbers. How far are we away from the sun, for instance, the Earth? It's 93 million miles. And we've seen we don't like these large sort of numbers with lots of zeros after them, so we're always trying to get rid of the zeros by using a power of 10 notation. So I can represent 93 million as 93.0 times 10 to the power of 6. But now even the 93 looks a bit too clunky, and I would much prefer to write this in a notation that is of the form a single digit followed by decimal places, in this case 9.3. Because I've got to move the decimal point one more to the left, I'll add another power to the power of 10, so 6 becomes 7. Okay, we saw how to do this in a previous tutorial. This form of notation, where we've got a single digit at the front and decimal places, we call this scientific notation. So this is of the form a times 10 to the power of n. Now any number can be represented in this particular form. Here, a represents a real decimal number which is greater or equal to 1, but it's less than 10. N can be any positive or negative whole number. We call these integers, but basically we have got a way of representing large numbers where n is a whole large number, positive number, and very small numbers where n is a whole very negative number. So I might represent my broadband speed, for instance, as 2.0 times 10 to the power of 7 bits per second. This is in scientific notation. Let's see how we would write down these numbers in scientific notation and leaving the answer to 2 decimal places. Okay, the first number is not very attractive. It's 234,105,907,133. What a horrible number. But let's represent it in scientific notation by first of all moving the decimal point the right number of places to the left. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 places to the left. But then I only want it to 2 decimal places. Now here this might involve a rounding up or rounding down. My answer becomes 2.34, because I don't need to round it up, times 10 to the power of 11, which is the number of times we've moved the decimal point from the right to the left. The next number is a little bit simpler, 1007. So we're going to represent it in scientific notation, so we're going to move the decimal point from the right hand side 3 places, so it becomes just before the 1, and we only want to represent it as 2 decimal places. So if you remember the tutorial on decimal places, we look at the second decimal place where we want to be, we look at the third to decide whether we need to round up or not. It's a 7, it's greater than 5, so we'll be rounding up. So my final answer is 1.01 times 10 to the power of 3. Let's have a look again at 45,010,123. Again, this time I should be moving the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places to the left. So that'll give me 10 to the power of 7. That'll give me 4.501. The second decimal place is an O, the third is a 1. I shan't be rounding up in this particular case. So my answer is 4.5 times 10 to the power of 7. My final one, 33,098. Again, I move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4 places. 3 decimal places, I look at the third decimal place, that'll be a 9, and I decide I might need to round up in this case, so my final answer is 3.31 times 10 to the power of 4. This represents these numbers in scientific notation. Once again, all my resources can be found at the following website.